So when I put the Galaxy Watch 7 on my wrist a couple of weeks ago, I wasn't expecting very much. In my head, I was thinking, it's another spec bump with a new software version and maybe a little AI sprinkled in. But you know what? This might be one of the most notable improvements to the Galaxy Watch experience in years. Hi everyone, Ta here. So what do I mean by that? Well, I'm definitely not talking about the design because outside of a new strap, the watch looks virtually identical to last year's model. They did launch a brand new Ultra model if you're looking for a fresh new design and want something more rugged. It's not for me personally. Is it because they doubled the storage? Heck no. Don't get me wrong, more storage is great, but come on. Apple and Google have been doing 32 gigs in their watches for years. The new bioactive sensor supposedly improves the accuracy of health and fitness tracking, but as someone who's not exactly focused on fitness metrics, that's not something that affects me all that much. The biggest upgrade this year is easily the new processor. Processors in Galaxy watches have felt stagnant for years now. The Galaxy Watch 4 launched in 2021 with the Exynos W920. They reused the exact same processor in the Galaxy Watch 5, and last year, the Watch 6 had a slightly tweaked version with a tiny bit more performance. I think it was like 18% or something. Nothing to brag about. Every single one of those watches had random stutters, hiccups, and just general interface jankiness that didn't make for a very pleasant experience. If we're being honest, it really cheapened the overall feel of the watches. Well, this year, the Watch 7 is rocking a new Exynos W1000 processor, and it has like triple the performance. Yeah, just a massive bump. Now, even if you don't care about numbers or any of that, it matters because the Galaxy Watch 7 is flat out a much smoother experience now. With typical spec bumps, you don't usually feel a difference. Well, with this, you feel it. Seriously, starting bedtime mode on my 6 Classic would sometimes take like 5 to 10 seconds. It was super annoying to deal with on a nightly basis. On the Watch 7, it's way faster. Same idea when customizing watch faces. Sometimes it would just hang or take forever to load the different elements. That's not an issue on the new watch. Apps load faster, the digital bezel feels more responsive, and in general, the jankiness and those random stutters are pretty much gone now. It looks like Samsung finally gave the Galaxy Watch enough power. Now, the one area you always hear smartwatch critics complain about is battery life, and unfortunately, this new processor doesn't do much to change any of that. It's supposedly more efficient, but yeah, it's still a day to day and a half wearable. You can probably stretch it out if you turn off features like the heart rate sensor or the always on display, but I'd rather not do that. For most people, right out of the box, it's a charge every day kind of device. Personally, I don't really have an issue with that because I usually charge it alongside my phone at the end of the day before I pop it back on at night for sleep tracking. One notable downgrade that you may or may not care about is that because of the new sensor, the watch is no longer compatible with wireless power share, the feature that lets you charge off the back of your phone. I didn't use it all that often, but it was nice for emergencies or overnight trips where you forgot the watch charger. Yeah, it's not a huge loss, but it still sucks that we're losing functionality that we've had for years. So this is running Samsung's latest One UI Watch 6 based off of Wear OS 5. Keep in mind, old Galaxy watches will likely get all these new software features eventually too. It introduces 3 new watch faces: Simple Digital, Spatial Number, which has this cute bubbly aesthetic to it, and Ultra Info Board is awesome if you like info-rich watch faces like me. There's some new tiles too, like this calculator one that bundles a unit converter and tips calculator all together for convenience. The new weather tiles are pretty nice too. I like that you can choose what info you want at the bottom here. The Samsung Find app is now officially available on the Galaxy watches. This allows you to quickly see the location of every single Galaxy device you own. So that's a nice new ecosystem benefit if you go all in on Galaxy devices. This is also where you can ping your phone now in case you lose it, since it replaces the Find My Phone app on previous watches. The always on display is now always touch active, meaning you don't have to wake up the watch first before you interact with it. I like the change because it makes the watch more accessible, but I'm finding that there are a lot of accidental touches throughout the day. On several occasions, I'll look down at my wrist and the weather screen will be displayed or a random notification will be open. They've also introduced a new pinch gesture. You can only use it on certain screens, so it's fairly limited. When you get a call, you can use it to answer or dismiss the call, which is really helpful. If you receive a message, you can use the pinch gesture to scroll, then respond to the message with your voice and send it off all done with the gesture. Not too shabby, eh? But yeah, outside of that, I'm not seeing much else. Now, a gesture I use all the time for the Galaxy watches is the knock knock one, since I don't like having the OK Google command on all the time. I've set it to launch Google Assistant for those times when I'm holding my daughter or grocery bags. So I like Wear OS. But man, there's this one bug that drives me nuts. Every once in a while, an app will go rogue and continue to run in the background even when I'm not using it and absolutely kill the battery. You won't even know it's happening until you look down at your watch at noon and it's at like 30%. It happened twice in the first week. The first time it was Google Maps. The second time it was Google Assistant. Thankfully, it's been good since, but I've gone so paranoid that I'll regularly go to the recent apps menu and make sure nothing besides Samsung Health is running in the background. I need to know, is this just a me problem or do any of you deal with this too? Now, the Samsung Health app has gone progressively better over the years, and I think Samsung has done a really good job at making the app a little less daunting to open and look at. It might seem corny for some, but the bright colors, cute animations, and even classifying everyone as different sleep animals to emphasize that we're not all the same makes the whole experience more welcoming. One of my biggest complaints in the past was that they would throw all these numbers at you, and there would be zero education on what those numbers meant and what you could do about it to improve your overall health. The sleep coaching was a nice addition last year, and they've added 2 more health metrics this year. The first one is Energy Score, which uses, you guessed it, artificial intelligence to rate how your body should feel based on measured health metrics, including sleep, activity, and heart rate. Every morning, you get a score and a marker letting you know if your score went up or down from yesterday. I like it in the sense that it gives you actionable insights that emphasize better sleep and workouts, but it doesn't seem to take into account diet at all. And we all know that has a huge impact on energy levels too. But yeah, sleep and working out are 2 big pillars. This is a friendly way to gamify the experience. The second metric is something I had no idea was even a thing. It's called the AGEs Index. AGEs are harmful compounds that have been linked to early aging and chronic diseases. The watch can apparently detect these compounds, which is sort of cool. With it being labeled a labs feature though, it's extremely experimental, so I wouldn't get too stressed over it. Basically, you sit somewhere on this index, and the idea is to get this as low as possible or into the green area on the left. I don't love that they hide the helpful advice on how to improve your situation inside the more info menu, which is super easy to miss. It should be front and center right here on this main page. The advice isn't anything you likely haven't heard before, but it serves as a constant reminder. I do have a bit of a sweet tooth and have started to cut off as much processed food as possible, so I'm curious to see if mine drops over the next few months. So yeah, those are my unfiltered thoughts on the new Galaxy Watch 7. The big story is the new processor. It does make a noticeable difference in day-to-day usage. It goes a long way to making the Galaxy Watch finally feel like a premium smartwatch, especially when compared to how silky smooth both the Apple Watch and Pixel watches are. If you own a Galaxy Watch 4 or 5, I think the Watch 7 is an upgrade worth considering, especially if you get a good price with a trade-in. If you're coming from a Watch 6 Classic like I am, I don't think it's as obvious of an upgrade because the physical rotating bezel is such a nice feature, and the Classic is just a much easier watch to dress up for those fancier occasions. Samsung will likely do an updated Classic version next year, so I'd wait until at least then. As usual, thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'm out of here. Bye!